for that matter, registering trademarks or doing searches, etc. With artificial intelligence, we already know there are computers that do those functions better than humans and quicker. And of course, the machine doesn't forget. And you have to be part of the decision-making process in companies. So, for the young lawyers, they need to know that the environment or the landscape is going to change, and it's going to change quickly, very quickly.
Yeah. That being involved with LES, it's a fair advantage for you if you're involved in some of these academic discussions that are years ahead in terms of discussing royalties and AI and those kind of things. It surely puts you at an advantage when you're talking to your clients.
Look, the thing is, it's also enormous privilege, and of course, it's something that I always say we're so fortunate to be in a firm like this, because imagine, I have friends in other law firms, etc., and so forth, and it's still, what I can see as the traditional way of lawyering. But one thing that you grow up quickly, because you go to these international events, and over the years, I presented in workshops or in mini plenaries, and I moderated in them. And your audience are business people and academics from university. So you can't go there and think you're talking to the uninformed. They're not. So it forced you to study a lot of things that will not come up in your normal business day.
Yes.
And the thing is, one thing that as I mentioned, we have regional and national chapters in LESI, but LESI South Africa is the only chapter in Africa. There's a LES chapter in the Arab countries, but for administrative purposes, LES South Africa is seen as part of LES, the Europe grouping. Imagine that. We're millions of miles away from them. So you fall under them. And it was always the question, and it is the question still. So what is going on in Africa?
Yes.
Now the answer is simple. I've over the years I've made many friends, very very good friends that practice in Europe and in the States, or work in Europe and the States. And I have friends that run businesses, very big businesses, on licensing of certain aspects of computer chips, or certain aspects of medicine. Now, ain't going to happen in Africa. And the thing about the challenge in Africa is that although there are a number of countries in Africa that have IP legislation, IP and licensing is always part of a bigger contract. So it fits into a commercial agreement, and that is the thing, or the aspect that I always talk to my overseas colleagues about, is that you can't charge into Africa with a license agreement in a medical field that is pure licensing, because it's going to have to fit into a commercial agreement. And in those commercial agreements, in anyone, you go to Nigeria, there are specific rules. There are exchange control provisions, there are specific rules as far as tax is concerned, specific rules as far as company law, environmental law requirements, etc., and so forth. And that landed me in a situation that I was always asked to, talk to you about licensing in Africa, come up with solutions for licensing in Africa, and we did extensive research on that. And within the next year or two, we will publish something through LESI on licensing in Africa, the different laws and the do's and the don'ts of licensing in Africa. So, that is, I think, the scope for the firm still. is to work in that space.
It's exciting, I guess, because things are going to start moving a lot quicker.
Well, the thing is, you know, I mean, already, you take Rwanda. I think Rwanda is on the forefront of drone technology.
Yes.
In Africa, you don't do business if you don't have an iPhone to go do your banking. We've in LESI worked on you know, in a health field, ladies that are pregnant that can do their consultation with gynecologists over the iPhones. And so, you know, that it's not something, it's the reality. So Africa don't really have a very good developed infrastructure. It's getting better, and there's a lot of money going into it. But the moment you have or energy that's sustainable, whether it is wind, sun, or whatever, you will see Africa becoming a very serious manufacturing hub for the world.
Yes.
Because one thing there is, you know, I always talk to the guys in Europe, I mean, they've tangled themselves into labor legislation to the extent that, I mean, if you look at Brexit, for instance, an ordinary bricklayer that is a Brit cannot do the job for the same price than a guy from Poland. And that's the thing about Africa is, you know, the labor is reasonable you can afford it. And there are a lot of people without jobs and that's looking for jobs and that are very capable. And that's why I think Africa is going to explode.
And so lastly, the certificate, the accolade that you've received for your involvement and your service to LESI, what does it mean to you personally?
Look, you know, I always say, look, it's anybody, I suppose, it's nice to be recognized, obviously, but it's not about that. You know, it costs a lot of money to go to these conferences, be involved. So I owe it. You do it for Adams and Adams. You know, as I mentioned, I always ask myself when I met these senior partners when I was a young partner, and you were absolutely in awe. I mean, at some stage, I remember we had an article on the brace of presidents where the FICPI, the AIPPI, the Institute, the LES, all the presidents were Adams and Adams partners. And you know, I always remember that, and I always say to myself, so, you know, maybe you have a duty to also contribute to that. I mean, they gave me the opportunity to work in a firm where things were set up for you. You walked in and it was more, you know, there's Fortune 500 clients and so forth and so on. So from a personal point of view, nice to get that recognition. And you know, on a very personal point is the certificate was signed by my very good friend Peter Hess, the president of LESI, that died during this last conference. And but the other thing was, my partners pay for me to go to these conferences. The least I can do is to pay them back by delivering something. Now, you know, I always say, you know, you must write so that people can actually see that, you know what you're talking about. But the thing is, if I participate in a workshop or in a mini plenary, or I moderate them, you have 80 or 120 international people that immediately know who you are and where you come from. And maybe in the long run, something of that will mean something from a business perspective for the firm, which it does. But yeah, from a personal point of view, nice. It's one of those recognitions that you can't pay for or you nominate yourself for. But in the end of the day, I owe it to my partners. I mean, they pay for it. If I go overseas for them, I think it's my duty to go and do as much as I can. Always try. And then also, I came into Adams, and my brief was to look after the South African market and build it out. And I enjoy that. I love to go and talk to people and get new clients and build client bases. And the overseas thing is the same. To me, it's the hunt and the chase and the excitement of that. And the thing is, it's an easy job because we have so much to offer. I mean, if you look at all the firms in Africa or South Africa, it's not something that you need to sort of, we have it all. The only thing that you must go is to go and tell it to people. And then, as I say, if I go to overseas to a Munich and you do your 5-6 meetings a day, and you feel good afterwards.
Yes.
But it's I owe it to my partners. They pay for it.
No, I'm sure you've paid them back. And congratulations on that.
Thank you.
And good luck for the next conference you have to do, and for all the hunting and chasing you have to do.
It's wonderful. Yeah, wonderful opportunity.
Excellent. Thanks, Johan.
Thanks.